In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, measures were put in place to help curb the spread of the virus. But for people living with disabilities, these measures seem impossible. The majority of them depend on other people, gadgets and machines for movement.
Touch surfaces, get close to other people for help, and always find themselves breaking the guidelines recommended by the World Health Organization. Well, Brian Mutai now reports on how the pandemic has changed the life for many of them.
When these lights turn red, it means danger. But imagine this, for some of the people living with disability, it is a green light for them to start earning a living.
Kuna mtu anaweza kupea pesa kuambia hii corona uogopi.
Leo umepata ngapi?
Ni ipi?
They are a common figure on our streets. They huddle under blankets, some eyes downcast with an empty cup at the feet containing a smattering of coins. These people entirely depend on begging for a lifeline. They risk life and limb as they squeeze and weave through traffic. Sometimes they are turned away. And other days, they are lucky to get a few coins. Times are always tough for them, but the COVID-19 pandemic has come with its fair share of challenges for people living with disability. What is life like for them? Living in a time where they could be vulnerable, abandoned, and facing a life-threatening disease. Along Lenana Road, Nairobi.
Jina yangu naitwa Salma Masanja. Nafanya hii kazi ya kusaidiwa.
Nairobi streets have been home and office for Salma. Begging is part and parcel of her life. Every day by 7 a.m. you find her here.
Niko na miaka 7 Nairobi. Na ninaishi Shauri Moyo. Naelekea kufanya kazi huku ya center. Pia kuwasaidiwa.
Salma, a mother of one, lives with disability. And times have not been easy for her since the outbreak of coronavirus.
Wakati wa coronavirus, kumekuwa na shida, pesa imekuwa ngumu.
Salma has no ability to walk. Her crawling makes every step. Salma literally goes against every guideline issued by the World Health Organization, from touching the dirty surfaces on the streets of Nairobi, receiving handouts in the form of money, to breaking the 1-meter rule. She has no time to sanitize or wash her hands after every 15 minutes. All this exposing her to the deadly virus.
Hii corona imeleta shida. Sasa pesa mtu anaogopa kuchukua, kila kitu anaogopa. Hata mimi nilikuwa nasaidiwa na mtu Mkenya, lakini akakataa kunisaidia, akasema hii corona iko na shida.
She crawls back home by 4 p.m. to beat the government curfew, which starts at 7 p.m. But still, she has less options. The public transport system exposes her even more.
Wakati wa kuingia gari unanawa mkono kwanza, ama sanitizer unapewa, unapaka mkono, unaingia kwa gari. Na ukwe umehakikisha maski iko kwa nini, kwa mapua.
On a different day along the leafy suburbs of Nairobi's Kileleshwa estate, I decide to spend a day with Masanja Subi. His main job here is to push his sister Emma to beg for money from motorists. He waits for the red lights, which for him is a green light to ask for help.
Sasa tunafika saa 4, tunaomba hapo mchana hapo, akipata mtu akihurumia ana chakula na kupea mnakula, mnaendelea hivyo. Saa kuna moja ikifika, mnarudi nyumbani, mnachukua venye mmepata, mnaanza kupika, kesho tena hivyo. Magumu, maisha kwa kweli ni magumu.
He comes from the neighboring country Tanzania. He brought his sister here in Kenya hoping to make a better life, but the current situation has affected their daily bread.
Ukimwangalia tu mtu kwamba tu nisaidie, sina ndugu yangu, corona ndo imebeba kila kitu. Saizi hata pesa hatuna sababu ya corona.
One of the measures recommended by the World Health Organization to slow the spread of the virus around the world is staying at home. But for people like Subi and his sister, staying at home means death.
Corona tunaiogopa lakini tunajikinga kwa hiki. Yaani tumeshinda kukaa ndani sababu kukaa ndani hakuna chakula, kila kitu. Hata tu inatubidi tu tuje barabarani ili kutafuta angalau kidogo.
After a whole day of begging, I was curious to find out how much he had made. Leo umepata ngapi?
Ni hivi. Labda 200 naweza fika leo. Hata haifiki. That is why. Hata haifiki labda.
And as Subi goes home, in another informal settlement in Kariobangi area, another beggar faces the same uncertainty. Some of these beggars and their aides walk more than 10 kilometers to and from their lucky spot. We followed this one from Kariobangi using the Eastern Bypass through Outer Ring Road, headed to his lucky spot in the Central Business District. Peter Mushiri, the chairperson of Persons Living with Disability, says it is practically impossible for such people to follow the WHO guidelines.
And I will give you an example of a visually impaired person. A visually impaired person uses a guide, and he cannot walk without a guide. And basically those guides hold them on their arms. And when you look at this, and the regulations and the regulation which are coming to the from the government, they said that we are supposed to keep a 1 to 2 meters space. When you look at that person with the visually impaired, how can he do that? Look at a person who's using a wheelchair. You need a guide. You need somebody to support you each and every time. And that person is very close to you.
Whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has literally turned lives upside down, the world is slowly embracing the new normal by following the guidelines set by the WHO to keep the virus at bay. Brian Mutai, Citizen TV.